This is the After Party. Your hosts are the Great Order and No White Guilt. The crown winner of last week is Ascended Practitioner, financially gifting $50 to White Wellbeing. We dearly appreciate that. Congratulations to you, dear brother, and thank you so much. In second place, a close second, was Blue-Eyed Bear, another great champion for White Wellbeing, financially gifting $40. Thank you so much. Congratulations to you, Blue-Eyed Bear. You may financially gift on Entropy at a cost of 15% to you. You can also watch the stream over there, ask and vote on questions as well. Or you can financially gift on Cash App by rappelling down into the description. You will find the URLs to both. Just make sure you have your carabiners. Jared and I evenly share the financial gifts with our guests here on the After Party. Today we have a man that you haven't seen a whole lot of, but for some strange reason, everyone in the world loves him. Sam Melia. Sam, please introduce yourself to our esteemed community. Tell them where they can find you, and then the wonderful Mr. George will take us into this conversation.
Hi, my name's Sam Melia. I'm the Yorkshire Patriotic Alternative organizer. I'm the husband of a rather famous lady as well. Something to do with tea. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at I think Pat Alt Yorks for as long as we last on there. But we also have a Telegram as well. If you search Patriotic Alternative Yorkshire, you'll see the kind of things we've been doing. We've been doing some great things recently: list picking, homeless outreach, and generally just bringing nationalists together in a community, or white advocates, whatever. Yeah, I've been having a fantastic time doing it, and it's a pleasure to be here on tap.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, Sam. Thank you for being here. How long have you been doing that, organizing in Yorkshire?
We'll be coming up on a year now. I think I took the role on just after the spring conference of 2020. It was literally as we went into lockdown, and everyone still thought, everyone thought that the coronavirus was going to be the apocalypse. So we kind of battened down the hatches. I'd taken on the role. I started taking email contact and everything, but we didn't have any events until April, I think, back end of April. And from there, we just took off running. Obviously, we've kind of limited what you can do in the UK in terms of events. Literally everything shut down. So we've been mainly trying to get together for walks, hiking, picnics, stuff like that, just as much as we can. Thankfully, the cold weather's coming to a close. Last weekend was a beautiful day. Absolutely sunny, clear skies. I was in a t-shirt for the entire day, which was unexpected for a cold late February event, but it was fantastic and everyone had a really good time.
Well, I have to say, just to put a smile on everybody's face, is that spring is springing in the once great state of Virginia. There are buds on everything. The grass is slowly waking out of its slumber, turning green again. All of the trees are budding. And more importantly, my absolute favorite flower, the earliest of the daffodils, are showing up. Take a look at these lovely flowers. I actually planted, Sam, I planted, I was a child, just a handful of years old, and my parents, my mother gave me a bulb, or a couple of bulbs, and she said, "They're flowers, honey, and plant them wherever you want." So I went immediately to their garden where they grew food, and I dug in the middle of the garden and I planted the bulbs there. And the garden that for food growing is long gone, but those daffodils, they still come up. So yeah, spring is here, and that's great to hear that it's happening there in the UK as well.
Yeah, there's a lovely on the what we have around towns in the UK are called ring roads. And on the ring road around Leeds, where I live, there's some beautiful patches of daffodils on both sides of the road. And you always know spring's hit when all of a sudden it'll just be like, one day you'll go to work, it'll be nothing. The next day, boom, just a sea of yellow. It's amazing.
It is amazing. And I just want to say really quickly, for those who don't know Sam, I'm going to vouch for this, how great this guy is very quickly. I was in the UK. I was there for the conference. It was splendid. Had a great time with Sam. He's a wonderful gentleman. And then early morning, the day after the conference, I had to get to the airport. Mark was supposed to take me, but of course he was having to do 1,000 different things. And of all the people that were present, Sam immediately jumped to his feet and said, "We're at breakfast." He said, "I'll take you." And there was something going on I really thought that Sam should not be taking me that day. He had some other very busy things going on, and he still said, "No, I will take you to the airport myself." And then, and when the reason why this just came to me is because the entire drive from where we were to the airport, Sam was talking about all of the landscape and the types of animals and everything. So we really hit it off. He's a great guy. We're really glad to have him here. But I'll pass it over to Mr. George so we can keep rolling with this magnificent tap.
Yeah, that was about a year ago. We're coming up on a year when you traveled to the UK just as the lockdown was kicking in. It's amazing. We did a show right after that, and you were telling about your experiences there. And yes, I know you had told me that you had met Mr. Sam over there, and I remember hearing about him even back then. So I guess on that note, when you were mentioning, Jason, you mentioned a second ago about the landscapes and the animals. It sounds, I hear a lot about what PA does in terms of the community meetups. I really like that the focus is on just really wholesome things that connects you all to your land, to England, where you come from. And, in a very subtle but very striking way, connect you to your peoplehood, your ethnos, where you come from. I'm wondering if you can bring us into that a little bit, talk a little bit about that, about how even something that it doesn't have to be overt, like saying, I don't know. I don't even want to think, I can think of certain examples from older eras when people were a little more brazen about it and maybe foolish about it actually sometimes. But what I like here is that it's just it's implicit in what you do, in your heritage. It's just there as kind of the humming in the background of all of these beautiful community activities that you all do. So yeah, if you could explain a little bit what that's like and the fellowship it creates and the friendships it creates, and if you've seen people kind of connect dots in their own head and, I don't know, maybe go to a PA event and then want to learn more about their own heritage or more about the region that they live in England.
Yeah, I've got to say, if you want to come to an event and talk to some of the people who are most knowledgeable on our surroundings and also our heritage, you come to a PA event. Some of the people in this thing are so passionate. It's amazing. There's such a wealth of knowledge. We've had, I think at the last one, there's two people who are quite avid gardeners, and they were helping someone else explain what they need to plant in their garden in order to be more self-sustaining in terms of food, when to plant it, when to harvest it for the best yield, and there was someone who. I think it was a new lad. He just started attending these events, but he put it quite succinctly while we were cleaning up this park. Really nice, beautiful park, got Swan Lake and everything, and but blighted by rubbish, just absolutely everywhere. Trash, I believe Americans call it, and it was an absolute state. And he was pontificating over the course of the day over how it came about because of a lack of connection with the area that people lived in. Yeah. The idea, the concept to me of just throwing something out of your car window or having a gathering with friends in a park and just letting it all just drop and just walking away I can't fathom it. No. But for some people, it's there. And he was saying it's because it's not taught to them. And it's not something they can feel naturally because it's constantly suppressed down. They're not allowed to enjoy their environment, to feel like they belong in their environment, and that environment belongs to them as well.
Yes.
So I think what the PA events do and what the communities do as well is it brings people together who do have that mindset. And when you bring people together with that mindset, you're capable of great things. One person couldn't have cleaned up that park. But for COVID reasons, I won't say exactly how many there were, but the multitude of people we had, that enabled us to make a change on our environment, which I think was huge. And the locals there were dog walkers, kids coming past, thanking us for the work we were doing. there were two girls who they walked past us once, and then they came back about half an hour later and asked to get involved as well. So we gave them a litter picker and a plastic bag, and they went to it for about an hour with us and filled up a bag, and they seemed to really enjoy that. I think we got the contact details of a few locals as well when we explained what the group was and that we come together relatively often. They were, oh, this sounds like the kind of thing I'd be interested in. So I've got a few mobile numbers that I followed up on. Yeah, I think the PA events are really good for that. And I've seen a lot more of my county as well, Yorkshire. Now that almost every week I'm in the north, south, east, west, I'm getting to see a lot of places, and it really is a beautiful land.
Give us Americans an idea of how long would it take to travel around the whole of Yorkshire County?
Oof, God, that'd be a tough one.
Maybe drive
really.
north to
Oh,
south.
okay, yeah, drive east to west. You'd probably be looking at 2.5 hours, which probably doesn't sound much to an American, because I know just to get across the state can be a few days. And then north to south, again, 2-3 hours tops, really. Which, I mean, it seems minuscule. That is something I'm always hit with when they talk about meetings amongst kind of white advocates in America. There's people who travel days to get there, across states, across the country. And whereas here, it's like, thankfully, we're blessed with, it's like, if you want to meet up in Yorkshire, maximum you're going to have a 2-hour drive, and that's if you're going from one end to right out to the other. But
sure,
generally, it's also pretty well connected. Apart from the North Yorkshire moors, there's kind of roads around, but trying to get over it is damn near impossible and takes a very long time, which is a shame, because we've got beautiful towns like Whitby and Scarborough out on the coast there.
Well, no, 2.5 hours north, south, or east, west. That's still a good amount to cover, And I've been getting to know I love day trips or driving around anyway, but I've been getting to know my own region here in the States better. And yeah, it's a good reminder for all of us Americans as well that there's a lot right in your local vicinity if you want to focus on it. What about you were getting at this? I was going to ask, with the people who wanted to join the park cleanup. So you did explain a little bit about what you were doing. Did you give them the whole wrap on what PA is about, or were you more just, you kept it light in the moment and you're just like, oh, we're doing this litter?
Yeah.
Or
We just
did you go into the whole thing about what
there
PA
was no need to explain the 20-point plan or anything like that. But I had some cards on me as well, and we gave them to them, and that, I think I've got some here. Yeah, it portrays like the kind of 9 kind of broad things that we cover, and it's stuff that no normal person is going to disagree with. That's the thing. It's when our ideas are presented to them by us, no one really takes issue with them. It's when they're painted by the media or politicians as intrinsically evil just by existing, then people get the wrong idea. But when it's explained and it's put to normal people, that's the other thing as well. Put it to Twitter, yeah, there's going to be meltdowns, people running around with their hair on fire. But to your average person on the street, they're not going to see anything wrong.
Yeah. And the great thing about that, too, is that it counters what people see in the media. And that's so much of what we have to deal with as well. I'm sure Laura's dealing with all the time. It's this cognitive dissonance between what people have been trained to expect through the warped news media and through Hollywood and things like that, and then how we actually are, which is really we're normal, healthy people. That's what it comes down to. And when other people in your community meet you and see that, it's going, light bulbs are going to go off in their head, and it's going to have this effect, this cascading effect, where maybe they'll tell their friends and their family. I'm curious too, so as a community organizer at PA, so that's your title, in the States at least, that has more of a negative connotation. Barack Obama was a community organizer when he was younger. It's more of it goes back to the 60s counterculture, very leftist, progressive, anti-white kind of stuff going on. But this is what a community organizer should be. This is what one of these other terms that we need to take back. Do you find that you need to do things to foster community, or do you find that literally just getting these people together who already have this base level of awareness is enough?
I think, the bringing people together is the community organizer. once we get together, the conversation flows naturally. That you don't have to kind of cram people together. It's like you're friends now or anything like that. It's like no, people have shared interests. They've got interest in each other as well. But one of the things that I wanted to do when I got involved with PA was the fact that accidental communities, they don't happen anymore. You don't know your neighbours.
Right.
The pubs, I mean, they're shut now, but even prior to that, they were kind of almost like ghost towns, closing left and right. And so we had to create intentional communities. So if you want a community, you've got to now reach out and grab it. Like what I'm trying to do is offer it up to people so that they can grab it nice and easy, and provide a kind of central point for them to get in contact with. And then from there, we can bring you in to this community.
Yeah, when you said the pubs, were you specifically referring to the COVID situation, or was that happening?
Oh, it's happening long prior. Yeah.
That's crazy because I know culturally how important the pub is in Britain.
Yeah, I think one of the major contributing factors was the ability to procure alcohol really cheaply from supermarkets. So the idea of paying so much for a pint became kind of intolerable for people. And then also the atomization of the culture, where people just want to sit at home on TV. The idea of going to a pub and just kind of, you'd see some of the old dogs there, and it's like they'd just be sat at the bar. And you can tell in times past, people would come, they'd also sit at the bar and conversation will be struck up. But for this old timer, it's like he's there day in, day out. And it's like maybe some of his friends might come in, but there's nowhere near the communal atmosphere there once was. And then on top of that, there's also, I think a lot of the brewers took over the pubs and then they would lease them to pub owners. But the kind of overheads that they would charge, the percentages on profits and stuff like that would make it almost unmanageable. So as your pub got quieter, you just have to shut up shop. There wasn't any idea of kind of, it's like, all right, we just become, kind of smaller time. We kind of, our profit margins are a little bit lower, but we keep going as a kind of focal point of the community. It was like, no, we literally cannot afford to run. And, Budweiser or Guinness or whatever would just shut you down. Probably not Budweiser. I don't think they own any pubs over here. But it's been really sad to see things as well, like Wetherspoons, which is kind of a national pub chain here. And they get a lot of credit for being kind of pro-Brexit in the past. But one of the things they do is just buy up all these old pubs, sometimes old banks, theatres, all sorts, and they just turn them into a replica of every other one. They've all got exactly the same menu, exactly the same prices. And it becomes
I've seen a little about that, yes.
Yeah, and there's just less of a community to it, and less you don't know the owners. Like the owners don't care. They might own 5 different Wetherspoons across the county or whatever.
Yes. From what I know, again, of the English pub, it seems antithetical to the idea of a pub that a pub would be part of a chain. Those two things don't really go together. It's supposed to be the nucleus of a local community, a place where everyone could go meet old friends or sometimes meet new friends, make new acquaintances, right? I guess this pub question goes back to what I asked prior, and that is, with things like that happening, I know in younger generations, there's less face-to-face contact, so less social skills. People aren't used to that, having someone in front of them, and the accountability that goes with that. We certainly see that sometimes with our friendly online commentators. You haven't run into anything like that with PA? Like when you get people together for certain events, do you have to do icebreakers sometimes or things like that? Or is that not even necessary?
It tends to be people, I think because people are so secluded within this thing, once they do reach a community who's going to be open to talking to them about the kind of things they want to talk about, they kind of just spill their guts. So it's like that first meeting for a lot of them, they're just non-stop. They don't stop talking. They'll talk to anyone about anything, and it's like they just want to get it all out there all at once because they've just had to hold themselves back at work amongst friends, family, and stuff like that. So it's normally not too hard to bring people out of their shells. I was trying to think. I lost my train of thought there, but there's I don't do icebreakers. Generally, if someone's new, because I'll know everyone's name, I'll just introduce them around so they've got someone, and then someone's going to strike up a conversation with them because they want to know how did you get into this? How do you hear about patriotic alternative? What do you think of this that's just been in the news? It's like there's always something to talk about. And at the very least, they'll be like, what do you like to do in your spare time? It's like, oh, you're into movies or, gardening or building. And there's just, we've got people from all over. You've got people working office jobs, people who work on a building site all day. It's a really great variety of people. So there's always a new perspective to be seen from as well.
That's really interesting. Sam, the pub as the hub for the community, really, we're kind of, it feels like we're kind of maybe walking right alongside of this question and thought that I'm having for you. And that is that it's the hub where everybody is, as Mr. George is saying, that everybody comes back. So you have school, and then you see the school friends with your parents or whatever when you're younger at the pub. You go to work and you come back, and then you see folks who work in your industry or another industry. You make cross industry friends this way at the pub, and in this sort of hometown, sort of small atmosphere type of environment. And this always seems to be it's humanizing. We come to have sympathies for each other, so that even if we do have differences of opinion, we don't feel like the other side, at least this is directed against us, of course, that we need to be eradicated. This is how the anti-whites come after us. To what extent do you think that the slow death of the pub, as I guess it's been known, and to a degree the bar in the United States in areas that are, as we say, pristine, it served the same function, and folks who lived in those areas, that they'll attest to that. In the heavily diversified anti-white areas, they do not. Everybody is alone. They're very much, they might as well be hedged off with plexiglass. To what, if anything, would you like to say to this like slow pub crawl to its death? I'll just do this all day long, folks. I'll be here every Thursday or whatever it is on air. But no, the slow pub crawl to its death, and to what extent can PA and what you all are doing sort of fill that growing void for the community, that they're not able to come together anymore in the way that they used to be able to do so, authentically be able to do so at the pub?
I think one of the hardest things is the pubs were a focal point because the whole area might work in a single trade, whether it be the mines, steel works, mills, especially. I live relatively close to a mill, and they all used to work. They'd all clock off at the same time. There's an area not too far from me, Saltaire, that was actually, it was built by the owner of Salt's Mill. He was quite a, I can't remember what the word for it is. It's a person who does a lot of charity. I think Henry Ford was quite similar.
Philanthropist?
Yes, a philanthropist, yes. And he built a town for his workers. And he even built a holiday resort as well for his workers, so that when they went on holiday, they'd basically be paying minimum rates. So, and that they'd know you go here, and and that's something that's been lost as well. Everyone now, I work 45-minute drive away from where I live, not by choice. So it's like I wish I could work somewhere really close, but most people have to commute to work. And sadly, that means people are starting and finishing at different times. And the idea of all coming together, it's like people want to just as soon as they finish from work, switch off, go home, and just be by themselves. And I don't know if maybe people are almost over-socialized by things like social media. It's making them feel as if they've had human contact all day, or what. But the pub is somewhere you just kind of finish off the night. Finish from work, get dinner, head down to the pub. That's been something that's been gone for so long. I'm 31 now, and I don't think that existed on a widespread scale within my lifetime. I think that thing has been basically strangled to death over quite a long period of time. I'm trying to think what would have probably kind of brought it on. Maybe the kind of second industrial revolution of kind of office work. it could have been it. But yeah, I mean, where we cleaned up the park, just across the road, there was a miners' club, and it was a beautiful building, obviously being built, either for the miners or by the miners. I'm not entirely sure, but it was like the architecture was spot on. It was huge, multiple benches outside. It was clearly still a very busy place to go, and it's like, yes, because it's surrounded by houses, and at one point they will have been working in a mine. And all kind of come together, and that will have been the place. People that had birthday parties there, people that had retirement parties, and then just every night people would be there for hours. And that kind of community is lost now. People do not have that. Now it's like people kind of congregate on streams, and it's like, they sit to each other in the chat, and it's like, oh, Bill, it's good to see you again, and it's which is great. But it's like the next level to that is when you're seeing people week after week at our events. And there's quite a number of attendees who attend. Like, they'll live on one side of Yorkshire, but they'll come all over because it's what they want to do, and they want to get close to people. And it's like oh, you're a friend. It's like it's not just a case of it's like we're both engaged in the same struggle. It's like we're now friends, and I trust you. And it's like just last weekend I was around at a friend's house who it's like I met him through this. I mean, the other thing as well, if you're not in kind of white advocacy, you're not making friends as an adult. You go to work, you come home, that's it. Especially with the COVID lockdowns now, it's like wake up, go to work, come home, go to bed, wake up, go to work. It's like you're just a drone. And the idea of becoming friends, like just hanging out with your co-workers, for a lot of people, it's just like, what? You kidding me? I spend 9 hours a day with these people. The last thing I want to do is spend free time with them. But I can't spend enough time with the people I've met through this. It's really amazing. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like what we're doing now is trying to get back to that prior generation you spoke about, because I'd imagine that, everything that you just said bears into it, where the way that the social fabric's been broken down, what multiculturalism has done, even well before COVID, just the lack of trust, certainly for people who value what we value. And as we all know, all of us here and everyone listening in the chat knows, and as you have said, and maybe we'll speak to more in a little bit, actually a lot of people feel this way. And it's just, they don't have the way to articulate it yet. There's different levels of it. Some of them sense it, but they don't have the words to articulate it yet. Some of them might have the words to articulate it, but they don't trust who's around them. They're scared to share it. So that is all forcing people into this state of isolation. And I'd imagine that in your parents' generation, your grandparents' generation in England, people meeting at the pub, and that just built-in community there. It's like your friend's house, but for the whole town. What we're doing now is, like you said, we're meeting online, and then hopefully it's transferring over more and more into IRL to get back to that, to get back to normalcy. It's like, this is the way people act. And when our instincts are intact and we're not muzzled by all of these, political correctness and what people are supposed to say, this is just what naturally flowers up. And it's all this work is being done just to try to return to normalcy. But before we get to other topics, just while we're on the community organizing, to any extent that it's appropriate to say publicly, is there anything you'd like to share, especially for maybe people who are listening, who are thinking about going to one of these events, but they haven't become involved in PA yet, about safety measures that are taken or things of that nature?
Safety is our highest concern. I mean, obviously, I've befallen actual events that happened when, but again, we saw a risk, so I put myself out there to be, it's like, is it a risk? And it's like, it was definitely a risk. But we dealt with that, and then we dealt with that issue sometime after that, and since dealing with that issue, we haven't had it again. I don't want to go too much into it, but at the moment we are about to enact vetting for the meetings and for the Telegram chat as well. We're looking to try and build a community on Telegram, one that's not just kind of transient people, you know, coming in like, you know, ships of the night, just kind of coming in and going, and you don't even know they were there, which is going to involve, photos of yourself, ID, and a little video. Just, it's like, especially on Telegram, it's like, just so you know that it's like everyone else here, it's been seen and they've passed a certain level of security, because it's like at the moment it's like screen caps of Telegram chats are getting just blown up all over the place because there's bad actors hanging around, and what we try and do is eliminate them as much as possible. I mean, I've got a mailing list of a few hundred people for Yorkshire, and it's like some of those could be bad actors. I have no idea. And yeah, we do everything on the events themselves. It's not just kind of meet here at this time. It's right, if you're trusted, you meet here. If you're not trusted, you meet here. And then it's like, and then I meet you. And if nothing kicks off, then we go to another point, and then we go to the final event place. So it's like an 11 o'clock start for me. Starts at 9, but for the people, as far as the event is concerned, they're like, oh yeah, it starts at 11, and they show up just beforehand. But there's a lot of work going on in the background to ensure everybody's safety. I know every single region's doing it. The Scottish region as well, they're really on top of it. They've got some of the best guys up there, and they've been helping us a lot with our security concerns and knowing how this stuff works. I mean, it's kind of sad to say that it's like all you want to do is bring people together for a hike, and you've got to worry about getting physically assaulted, but it's the potential reality. On top of that as well, now you've got the COVID police kind of wandering the countryside trying to issue fines to people and everything. We've never been caught, but it's because we're smart, you know. We're not posting things on Facebook like, we're going to be here at this time, come meet us, and it's like, oh, the police are here, what a surprise. And avoiding like urban centres, stuff like that. It's just not hanging around in one area too long. I think there was one, we finished a really long walk, and I'd made sandwiches for everyone, and we had a brew and everything. It was really nice time, and then we were like, yeah, should we call it a day? And I think as we pulled out, a police car kind of came down right past us, and it's like, oh my god, it's like another 30 seconds there or something like that. They would have pulled up to find, like, you know, like 15-20 people just kind of stood around like, all right, how are we doing?
You need a great story for why you all are gathered. Just start like pointing at the sky or something, and then when the cops get out, then you can be like, oh, it's gone. Isn't that weird? That's why we all were a
UFO. We were just checking it out.
We had all gotten together to see if everybody could see the same thing, but I guess it's gone. I've been ready for a reckless driving ticket for years, waiting to have some kind of a great story for why I ended up going so fast in the car. Like, there was a spider that ran across the dash, and that's how I accidentally accelerated to 100 miles an hour. But I want to say very quickly, before we get away from any further away from the discussion about pubs, and first and foremost, I want to say, check out this sartorial elegance of one Sam here. Isn't this amazing? This guy looks fantastic today. and what's great about it is that he's dressed beautifully, but it's not like the panache or the ugliness that you see. It's just right. And he also has that spirit, and this is what I think is so magnetic about some guys of all races, but really, you know, of our people, is that when you are around somebody who is not only doesn't mind working, but is willing to just get in and work, and they're going to find joy in working. That I think is magnetic. I have always felt more attracted to guys that are to hang out with, etc., that they want to go work, and we're going to work together, rather than, oh, we're going to go to, say, watch a baseball game or something like that. I just feel like a guy who wants to make things happen, that's the kind of people I want to be around. And so I think that's where a lot of that magnetism for Sam comes from. But sartorial elegance, absolutely. I'm very quickly to say,
I had to make an effort. It's like you dressed really well. Jared's in a lovely blazer, and it's like I didn't want to rock up in like a t-shirt. I mean, it's 10 o'clock now. I'd be in pajamas or something. You know?
Oh well, yeah, it's quite late there. But I just quickly want to say about the pub, just to put my own absolute stamp of truth on this. I was a decade ago in the UK, and I'm just going to summarize this so we can keep rolling along. And I had to go through London to get to the airport. And the night before, I had gotten very extensive directions on how to drive from point A to point B. No sat nav. And of course, like 5 minutes into it, being London, they had road closure. And then I found, to my horror, that many roads didn't have street signs. And I thought, boy, this is interesting. No street signs. How do I even know where to go? So I had this wonderful map, and I stopped at a one of your like a drugstore. Maybe it starts with a letter P or something like this.
Pharmacy.
Pharmacy.
Yeah, we just call them a pharmacy. I think you do the same, don't you?
So it was one of those in London. I went inside. I had the map, and there was a non-white gentleman working there, and I tried to ask him where I was on this map because I couldn't find any street signs, and I need to get to the airport. He didn't speak any English, so he went and grabbed another lovely non-white gentleman, and he came out and he spoke a little bit of English, but couldn't really understand. So he went and got the manager. And then the manager came out, and he was also a lovely non-white gentleman. I imagine this particular pharmacy was owned by non-white gentlemen. And he said he could speak English, but with a heavy accent. I broke out the map and I said, can you tell me where I am so that you can show me how to get to the airport? And he said, forget about, no, I don't want to look at the map. And he wouldn't look at the map. Instead, he said, you just want to go right here and then left and then right. And I said, well, hold on. How many roads do I got to go by before I take that next right? It was totally useless. I got back in the car. I drove away from there. I kept driving. Hours are going by. It feels like I got to get to the airport. I finally come across city suburbia pub. I pull up outside of the pub. I practically kicked the door open. I held a 20-pound note up above my head. This place is full of like old timers. This was like back in the day, UK, and blue collar working guys. I held up a 20-pound note, and I said 20 pounds to anybody who could tell me where I am and how to get to the airport. And this old timer, I mean, seriously old timer, puts his beer down, kicks the stool back, and he gets up, and you could tell he had a lifetime of work in those joints, in those muscles. And so he comes walking over here and he says, put your money away, lad. I'm going to show you where you are. So I followed him over to a table. He just grabbed the map out of my hand. He unfolds the map, and then he goes, you are here. He just, in 1 second, you are here. And he pointed directly to where we were. And he said, all you have to do is you follow this little road here. And then it was like 3 turns. He explained it clearly as could possibly be. And then I said, well, here, please take the 20-pound note. And he said, forget about it. I'm not taking any of your money. Have a nice flight. And that was the UK. That was the America. That was the Germany. That's what we want. That's what we want to get back to. But that's a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's how it can really happen. But I'm going to throw it back on that heartening note to Sam and Jared.
Yeah, well, actually, he was just trying to get rid of the American as fast as possible and as efficiently as possible. Yeah, I mean, the pharmacy? That's actually kind of a tradition in Britain, is to ignore your map and then give you incredibly complicated verbal directions, possibly highlighting street signs or landmarks that you've no idea exist. And then you just kind of politely go, thank you very much, on your way, and then just return to your car and cry and just try and find someone else to direct you. And hopefully they have simpler.
He actually, I grew up in a blue collar family, blue collar area, and construction was what my father was in. And so it was beautiful. When I left, we wouldn't take the money. I said, okay, I owe one to England. And he winked at me. It was beautiful. But anyhow, I'll let you guys.
We do that too here, Sam, with the landmarks and overly explaining things sometimes. But we saw your lovely wife, Laura, in the chat a little while ago, and we've been friends with her for some time. She was the first time she was on the after party was way back in July of 2018, only a few months after we started, on a panel called British Blood with some other Brits, just talking about what it means to be British, and then has been a frequent guest since. But why don't we talk a little bit about Grandma Tyler's Tea and running a white positive business and voting with your wallet and all of that good stuff. What has that experience been like?
It's been wild. sometimes we kind of go a bit mad with how busy it is. It really is a constant job. Once I finish my full-time job, I'll come back home, and then it's packing tea or packaging parcels, and then until 9-10 at night. And then it's like, all right, cool. I'll get up at 6:30, get these to the post office before I've got to go to work the next day. It's a constant drive, but I love it. And to see how many people are into it is fantastic as well. There's orders coming in from all over the UK, and now we've reopened international shipping. It's coming from Europe, tons from America as well, which is wow. We're really privileged to enjoy that support, because it's someone to pay that much postage for your tea and coffee is kind of like is wild. And it's been really, really good, and it's been good taking that money and applying it to patriotic alternative events, providing banners for regions, taking on some of the costs of just running the regions. You need leaflets, you need business cards, just absorbing some of those costs so it's not falling directly on the regional organizers. And then it's just good to have seeing a business that succeeds. That they can't constantly tell you, you need to stay woke, or else you'll have no buyers or anything like that. And it's there's a community here that can support businesses, and to the point where you could live off them if you wanted to. Obviously we enjoy the benefits of Laura being who she is, which allowed us to really hit the ground running. But I know when I want to buy something, I strive to either find one of our guys who sells it, or at the very least a British manufacturer who sources from British materials. I've got some lovely socks actually that someone gifted to us that I need to get more of, but it's from British wool, and it's just sheep that are literally about an hour's drive away. And they're fantastic socks. I wear them whenever I go hiking long distance. But I'm now aware of a few other kind of businesses that are being built up by our people, and they're about to go live. We're actually product testing some soap, but it's like the more of it, the better. Shop locals, one thing, but if you can keep money within this movement, within the kind of white advocate sphere, then that's all the better as well. And we produce a quality product as well, which is great. It's not like we just slap in like patriotic alternative on a t-shirt and be like, buy this. It's like it's a quality product. The English breakfast tea is great. The coffee is really nice. It's a cafetiere coffee, and the Earl Grey as well. I don't drink much Earl Grey, but it's pleasant when I've had it offered to me. So, but the English breakfast is like our signature blend, and that is really, really good stuff.
If you're shipping to the US again, I'm going to have to get in on some of that. I look forward to that. Is there
a shout? I'm sure we can sort you out.
We do have from Roy Danton a question, I guess, to just clarify about the shipping of Grandma Towler's tea to the US. It's all legitimate now. You guys are able to ship it over to the US now without any issues?
Yeah, it took me about 2 nights to figure out exactly how to get the weight-based shipping down. So all the products have a certain weight to them, and then the basket adds them up. I think if it's over 2 kilos, the shipping just goes through the roof. So we've limited international shipping to 2 kilos max. But people have figured out the exact combination of products so that your parcel is exactly 2 kilos, which is it was actually to the point where I was kind of like, what can I take out? And we give 2 I drink Grandma Towler stickers to it, and I was like, it's over 2 kilos. And I'm like, right, I'll take one of these stickers out, and it was like it just ticked on to 2 kilos. I was like, good enough for me. It's get it out. But it took a while to make it work with the website and everything. And it's like I kept it. It's like, right, cool, it's sorted. And then I'd add stuff from my basket to like 3.5 kilos and 1.5 kilos, and it just the pricing didn't change. I was like, God damn it, what am I doing wrong here? And it ended up being there's a decimal point somewhere deep in the settings that I hadn't put in, and it was like, and as soon as I did that, all of a sudden it all just clicked into place, and it's like boom, done. And then I was able to rig it for Europe, Australia, America, and it all came into place. But yeah, it was a desperate rush. I think it was finally sorted it on the night before it was announced on PWR, like two weeks ago, I think. But it's really good now. It's all automated because the first time we ran international shipping, people were buying like 8 kilos worth of tea to Australia and then paying like £8 postage. And, and then it's like we'd take it to the post office and it'd be like, yeah, it's probably going to be about 90. And I was like, oh, all right, okay. And it's like, and for those ones where it was just ridiculously high, we went back to the customer and they were really gracious and was like, oh yeah, of course, if it's going to be that, don't worry about it. But there was a lot of kind of where they paid £8 and it was actually going to be 16, and we're just like, well, you know, we'll just shut it off for now, but we'll honor the orders that we got at the time, because there was just too many for us to go through individually and sort it out one by one. But yeah, now we've got it sorted. It's smooth as out. But yeah, 2 kilos the limit, and I think it passed that, and it just says, sorry, we can't ship. So you just need to, I don't know, not order a year's worth of tea in one go or whatever.
I love, I should say, symbolically what it shows too. That Laura had this little dust up with Yorkshire Tea, the brand, a few months ago on Twitter, and instead of just I don't know, complaining about it or writing mean tweets back, she said, all right, I'm going to make my own tea. And that's the spirit that we need in all of these things, to understand the agency that we have, the creativity that we have, the networks that we have. I mean, just look around us, look at what our ancestors built, look at Western civilization, for God's sakes, and say, all right, we're going to step over this and we're going to do it ourselves. I'm sure it drives the people who are against you absolutely nuts to see that kind of thing. But it's not even to get a reaction out of them. I mean, I consider things like that just kind of a little side effect, and maybe you smile at it for a minute. But I don't even recommend to people that be your motivating force, that you're just kind of looking above all of that negativity. You're looking over the clouds to the sunlight, to what's proactive and positive. And I love what that brand represents. I'd imagine that's a conversation amongst all of your friends at PA as well about, I guess, sharing products, as you said, that are ideally within the community, but at the very least are made in England. You know, here in the States, we have a few kind of aggregate sites. I don't know, you can't really know the political leanings of the people that own these companies, but there's something called ibuyamerican.com, where it's at least a collection. It's not a store itself, but it's a collection of stores, online stores you could scroll through, and then obviously they're all links and they're all American-made brands, and that's the kind of way that we need to be thinking. So again, kudos to Laura and you running it with her. It's an amazing story, and it's the kind of thing that we need more of. So anything more you want to say about your wife being public enemy number one in
yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird because it's like, I know it's such a lovely woman, but then every week it seems that there's a media article that'll label her as like Satan herself. It's really a bit bizarre. It's madness. But it's weird seeing her picture in the paper as well. Normally it's criminals and politicians, and it's like, oh my God, that's my wife there. And it's like, it's wild. But no, she's a lovely lady, and she does everything she can. She just gives herself entirely to this cause, which I love her for it. And I think we were saying the other night, it's like, we couldn't be with anyone else, because it's like I'm fully on board, she's fully on board. It's like, if you were with anyone who wasn't fully on board, they'd be, it's like, are you mental? It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you risking, jail time, for this kind of thing? It's like, well, I'd give everything for this. And because we both do, then we can, that then multiplies our power even more so. She's better at doing her job, I'm better at doing mine, and together we just make a fantastic team. And I mean, probably been known each other for over a year and a half now, and it's like not a single fight or anything. It's just we just get along so great, and it's that kind of easy relationship as well. Where you can just sit doing your own things together in the room. You don't feel like there's any demand for conversation or anything like that. It's just like you're just like hanging out together, and I love it to bits. And she's
wonderful.
Yeah.
Listen, Sam, I gotta just say really quickly, and then we can keep talking. But I just gotta say, you both are wonderful, and it's not. I mean, my personal observation. You're both wonderful people, kind people, caring people, loving people, and you care about everybody, which means that you end up caring about Western kind, our people too. And these claims that the anti-whites make, obviously totally spurious. But listen, I want you all to be safe. So I can't allow this moment to go by without just making a very quick recommendation. And I don't know exactly to what degree you all are able to do this with social media or on a website. Maybe right on Mother Towler's Tea website, you could do this. Photographs or footage, this sort of thing, humanizing you all to show the world that you're three-dimensional people, that you go to the park just for the purpose of going to the park, that you play catch, you play badminton, you play croquet, or things like this, so that when our brothers and sisters across the UK, when they hear all these horrible things that you're monsters or you're this or that, and they're flattening you out into these two-dimensional characters in the anti-white narrative where you can be dehumanized, where you're just monsters, people can end up at that website or wherever, and they can see these images of you all as normal folks. And when they do, they'll identify with you, and they won't feel comfortable about the persecution. They won't feel that it's acceptable, that they should just shrug when they hear about, well, a giant media outlet is doing a hit piece on some little couple somewhere in the UK. Well, we're just a little couple here. You want folks to see that. So just the normal things of life, so that they can see, our brothers and sisters, that you all are wonderful folks, ordinary Westman man and woman in this lovely little marriage. And we wish you all the best. And so please stay very safe, humanize yourselves, so that it's not enough just to say, we're not like that to each other or to us, to me and Jared. We know you're all not like that. But it's very important that everyone else in the UK has an avenue that they can see that you're just like them. But I had to say that. Let's pass it back. And if you have anything to say to that, Sam, or not, but we can keep rolling right along. It's got to be an absolutely surreal environment to have your lovely little wife portrayed as some demonic ruler of some realm of hell. It's just your little family, your little existence. So I definitely sympathize with that. It's dreadful. And I thank you for standing up for her the way that you have. You're quite the champion. We know that you had a little physical altercation with some anti-white animals, and you were a man. You behaved like a man, and I salute you for that. Well done to you, good sir. I don't know if you want to very briefly mention anything about any of these sorts of events or specific articles that have maybe kind of hit home in a way that others didn't. But otherwise, we can move right along to some of the other topics that we have.
Yeah, I mean, was I think the most recent one. That's one of the things with Laura is they don't really have anything on her. So the best they could conjure was Laura Towler, who has been a critic of Black Lives Matter, and it's like, well, who hasn't? It's like if that's the worst you've got, she's doing it all right. But there was someone after we'd finished cleaning up the park, we had a banner that said "Love Your Nation" on it, and a lot of the times we use the banners to hide people's identity who attend, because obviously we know we live in an anti-white society at the moment, and the power that our enemies have to call up places of work and friends and family and cause division is there. So a lot of people choose, it's like while they'll come along to events, it's like they don't want their face publicly out there on promotional material. But one of the guys who did choose to not hide his face or anything like that, it's like, why? And he said because Laura said, it's like, do you want to get behind the banner? And he's like, no, why? It's like, I'm really proud of what we've done here today. And I think that's going to come about more and more as our community builds and the kind of good works that we do increase. People are going to be proud to stand alongside it and stand behind or under the banner of Patriotic Alternative. And it's like, yeah, we're not the guys who they say we are. we're positive people. It's like we do good work and we're friendly and we're happy to be here, and we're going to keep it going no matter what people say. And the more and more people do that, the better. And as we continue our work, hopefully it will create an environment where people feel comfortable to do that. And you know, the anti-whites, they're not going to be able to kind of shame people into kind of just accepting like, oh yeah, I'll just scurry away and never show my face or anything like that. It's like, no, you're doing good things. You love your people. It's like you're around people who love you as well. So you've got a support group around you. You've got friends. You've got, I mean, the number of people we have who are employers, and it's like there's a lot of help going around. And it's just a great environment to be in. It's an environment that breeds, where it's like you want to stand up, your chest out and everything, and be like, yes, I'm here, I've done this. And if you want to say anything about it, I'll fight you to the death. It's like, this is good stuff. I love doing this. And hopefully more and more people are going to say it, because since, you know, I've been running around and trying to do stuff kind of incognito, and then it's like they find out who you are, and you know, they expect you to scurry away. But more and more people are getting found out, and they're going like, all right, yep, hands up, you got me. Yeah, I'm just going to carry on doing exactly what I was doing before, possibly even more, better, faster. You know, it's like, it's, you know, you guys, it's like, I mean, you've been around forever, no white guilt, but it's like, you know, you've kind of always had your face out there, because it was just like you were fully realized in that you were doing something positive. There wasn't any doubt as to like, oh, I've got to kind of keep on the down low. Jared, I don't know if you were you always a face out there, or did you operate in the background for a while or under pseudonyms?
No, I started about 3.5 years ago, and I always put my face out there and name.
Yeah, it's like for some people, it's like they just immediately. I mean, it's also just what position you are at in life. I'm in a position where it's like I've got a trade, so it's like it's kind of hard to keep me out of a job. But it's like for some people, you know, you got a very small window of employment, and the people you work with would be very susceptible to people calling them up. And it's like, oh, have you heard? He cleaned up a park with a bunch of white advocates, you know. And they'd be like, he did what? And it's like, fire him immediately. He's a danger to the workplace. But it's like, in reality, it's you know, I mean, and that's the thing as well. If events are this, you know, it's hikes, it's making food parcels for the homeless, they haven't got anything to stand on. It's like you're not, you know, kind of playing into the stereotypes that our enemies have laid out for us. You're forging something that is new on this kind of scene, and it only breeds positive energy. And people have a really hard time bringing it down. They have to just make up outright lies. You know, I mean, we had the article about our homeschooling program at Patriotic Alternative.
I saw that,
and it's very specific in that it's positive towards our own people. It talks about how British engineering is the best. Sorry, Americans, but it is. And we got canals, bridges, some of the greatest inventors, and they were trying to say it's like, can you believe it? They said they invented canals, and it's like, yeah, we did, dude. But all they can do at that point is point and splutter. But so if you don't play into their stereotypes, they've got nothing to stand on. They have to do the point and splutter, which for the most part, 99% of people, they see right through. Either they're our enemies and they kind of point and splutter as well, or if they're neutral or positive towards us, they go, oh, you're doing good work, and they want to get involved.
Yeah, and if anyone, we go into this a lot, but if anyone tries to play the moral card on you, it's actually quite the reverse. They're trying to destroy a people. They have absolutely no right whatsoever. They have no leg to stand on saying that they have any kind of moral high ground. That's absurd. And we know here not to even enter into that frame. A couple of housekeeping notes. I actually misspoke before. The correct store for the American products is called, aggregator site that leads you to stores is ibuyamericanstore.com. ibuyamericanstore.com. I put that link in the chat. And then Sam, you said for the Yorkshire Patriotic Alternative, that's at Pat Alt Yorks 2 on Twitter.
On
Is that
Twitter,
right?
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah. I
I
lost
know
the
you
password
mentioned it
for the
earlier.
first one.
I wanted to make sure I had the right one. So I followed you there, and I'm going to put that in the chat as well. As always, Jason and we're big on websites, old school websites. So we each have our own, and then we share for our media projects here, the afterparty.tv. So when this show is posted for posterity, Sam will include your links there as well. We'll make sure after the show to get all your links.
Oh,
So
great,
everyone listening in a replay will have everything there. In the closing bit, before we see if we have any questions from the chat as Jason's monitoring, I'm just curious if outside of your involvement with PA, or maybe just over the years, if you've seen friends and family, maybe people who are not as directly involved in our communities here, who are just because of what's going on in the wider world, just coming more around to our kind of views, or just letting go of the programming and all the, what's supposed to be polite talk, but is killing our people, that you're supposed to have, that the media dictates. Are you seeing just more people say, no,
Oh,
screw it?
God, yeah, more and more. So many of the people who attend our events, they've been turned on to us within the last year. I visited the home of a gentleman who we just shared a cup of tea, and he was telling me how kind of BLM started him on the journey, and then he became aware of Patriotic Alternative and Laura with Teagate, like you were saying, Yorkshire Tea, having a dust up with her. And then from there, he's just been all on board. My own father, he's always just kind of been, I don't know what you call it, kind of riding the fence in the middle, not really wanting to side on either way, because in terms of the left-right dynamic, he didn't see a winner in either. And because most people don't, it's like, and that's almost by design. In fact, it is by design. The idea is you're never supposed to expect too much from the system for yourself or your own people. You're supposed to just vote for the better of two evils, which is, it's not really much of a democratic choice at all. It's like you've got two guns to your head. It's like, all right, thanks. And he's come over. It's like kind of, again, with the BLM stuff, he was kind of like, and he couldn't believe the media coverage, how favorable that was. And then seeing politicians kind of bowing out, police bowing out, and it was like, wow. And then he kind of started looking more into our side of politics, reading more, and watching more videos. And yeah, it's getting to the point now. It's like whenever I talk to him, he's like, "Have you seen this stream? Have you seen this video? Have you read this book? What about this person?" And it's like, and you're just like, "All right, cool, yeah, you're getting on there, step by step by step." And that's been really good to see, and it's been really good to be able to talk openly with a family member as well, because my mum's not on that at all. Neither's my brother, and it's like it's good to see my dad coming along there, which is fantastic. And yeah, friends. I mean, obviously I've made a ton of friends through this thing, but I remember, God, years ago, I had like a few friends, kind of just as I was kind of starting out. They were trying to put the kind of fences up where it's, oh, you don't want to go down this path, you don't want to go down this path, and it's like, oh, I kind of like the view down there. Actually, there's some interesting stuff I want to go check out down that path. And it's like, and you end up going down there. And I remember there was one, and it was like right in the early days of Twitter, where just everyone was on there, and it wasn't too political. It was just talking. But it's like I was at the pub with a few friends, like high summer, blazing sun, and I hadn't spoken to this guy for about half a year. And then it's like my friend Danny just went, it's like, have you seen what Peter said about you? And I was like, no, where? And he's like, on Twitter. And I was like, does he tweet? And it's like, okay. And he pulled it up, and it was like, this guy, I haven't spoken to him in 6 months, and it's like, just had to disavow my friend because he's a horrible racist. And I was like, I haven't spoken to this guy. I've been inviting him to the pub, and he's just been ignoring me. And then it's like, he's playing it up on Twitter, like, I made a stand today. And it's like, no, you didn't. You just stopped communicating with me and hid. And it's like, oh, right, okay. I mean, yeah, friends I've lost along the way. The friends I have now, a million miles better. And the friends that I've kept, it's because they're actual friends. It wasn't just a kind of case of circumstance or anything like that. It's like they actually like you as a person, which is what friendship should be about. And, a change in view or politics or anything like that shouldn't really influence, but especially as well if you're just being honest with each other. I mean, you're not running around with a style helmet on or anything like that. It's like you're just like, oh, I'm kind of seeing this in the media. I'm seeing this in politics. Do you see it as well? And if a person is honest, they'll be like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I see it now as well. And then you start waking each other up, and it can even like start spiraling out then. And you both end up kind of getting faster and faster and faster and reaching the kind of knowing everything in a way. But yeah, it's I've completely forgotten where the question was originally, but yeah, I wouldn't change a single thing in my life. It's been nothing but positive trajectory. There's been a few dips, but generally straight up.
Oh, you answered it perfectly. It was just about, again, just generally outside of PA, even in your life, seeing what's changed, the changing mood that people are having, and kind of letting go of the shackles of all that anti-white programming. I mean,
I think as well, prior to lockdown, I really felt there was energy building right up to that spring conference, and it was like, it felt like the country was a bit of a powder keg for kind of just switching over and just being like, screw the system. We're looking out for ourselves. We're white advocate, positive now. And then it's like all of a sudden that energy was just stolen away like that, just gone. And it's like, right, we're all locked down. We're all terrified again. We're all scared of each other. And it was like, I felt like we were really coming together, really about to reconnect as a people. And it's and now you go down the street and people are jumping into the road to avoid you because you're not wearing a mask.
Jason, I think you're muted.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. And it was quite an energy. I felt it while I was over there. We had that magnificent conference, 200 so folks. It was splendid. And we were galvanized to begin making things happen for Western kind. And so I think that means that the fuse is still, well, we don't call it a fuse. We'll call it the bloom shoots. The bloom shoots of the wonderful plant.
Go with the floral metaphor, yes.
Yes, yeah. The bloom shoots are really, they're still there, and all they need is a little bit of sunshine and a little bit of water, and they will bloom and be aromatic for everyone who breathes in the aroma. A quick note before, I guess we'll take a look at, we're getting ready to tap out, folks. So if you have a financial gift or a question or a statement, tag me or put it in the question widget so that we can get to those. I just want to quickly say for everybody who is listening live or in replay, especially when the ear is against the door, that when it comes to movements, all movements and all groups of people, movements like Black Lives Matter, BLM, that there are good people everywhere, good people in that movement and good people everywhere. We just want to make sure that we are clear for anybody who's listening to us either live or in replay. So having said that, I will turn around here. I know we do have Roy Danton letting us know, Sam. I thought I was going to be playing like the customer assistance, and for a moment there, Roy was having an issue making an order, but then he wanted to let you know that he made an order, and here in the States where he lives, of Grandma Tyler's tea. So he's very excited about that, and he wanted you to know as soon as possible. We also have the great Azimuth Clark has financially gifted $1 over here on Cash App, and he writes, "Pristine lives matter," and then KIP, K-I-P, keep it Promethean. Thank you so much. Azimuth Clark, he says, "I left a small gift just saying hello." Well, we were right on the exact same wavelength. I read it just as you were typing that. Beautifully done, brother. We will reload that page to see if there is anything over there that I have missed, and I will turn around here as I didn't see any other questions or statements in the live chat. Perhaps I missed, but I don't see. And we have here a financial gift from our great Slots, a great champion in service to white well-being. And he says with $5, thank you, dear Slots. Sam, when you get secure with your tea business, are you going to be open, to starting a business in America or providing partnerships to get something going? That's to you, Sam.
It could always be a possibility. Yeah, I mean, there'd be can't remember the word for it is now, but it's like like a distributor. I know they do this for other companies, don't they? If there's a high enough demand in areas, it's more cost effective for them to just kind of bulk ship over to them, and then they distribute it themselves. But yeah, I mean, if it gets bigger and bigger, and if there's a big enough demand in America, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, you know, we ship the tea in from all around the world, so there's no reason why if the same blend isn't provided to an American base and then packaged in the right way, in the same way we do it here and everything, then yeah, it could be distributed. But what would be better is if, you know, if there's an American who comes up with like his, because I mean, I imagine you've got different tastes, haven't you, in tea? And you know, if you even drink tea in America, but at the very least, your coffee and stuff like that, it's like you Americans love your coffee, so it's like have a. I know there are a few kind of conservative businesses. There's like coffee companies over in America, isn't there? But there's none that are white advocates. They're always kind of like, you know, we support the GOP and everything like that. It's like, all right, cool.
Right.
It's a really brave stance of you to take there, guy. Franchise, yeah. I'm just seeing real post in the chat. Yeah, maybe we'll be like McDonald's. There'll be a Grandma Towler's tea shop on every corner at some point in the future.
That's the future that we're all aiming for, Sam.
giant yellow G's on the horizon, all around the country.
Then we'll know we've arrived, folks. I will say there are plenty of tea lovers here in the States, Sam.
Yes, indeed.
I don't drink coffee.
No, oh, well then, yeah, it might very well be a point. I mean, yeah, if that's something anyone can do or would like to try, I mean, we'd be willing to give it a shot, possibly. Obviously, I'm not the driving force behind. I'm but a mere tea packer, tending to my tea. So
I'm a humble tea packer.
Yeah, to be honest, it's been fantastic, and see shipments going around the world is amazing to see. I know, Jared, you put in the chat here that someone said they couldn't get US shipping. Like I said, 2 kilos is the max, but if you put in a US address, it should activate US shipping. So, but like I said, email us if there's any problems. I know we don't ship to Thailand, and I think someone asked for us to ship to Thailand, so we arranged a payment and a delivery option for him personally. Apparently, there's a big expat community over there who are dying for good tea. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, the person who asked has it working. It was the weight.
So. Roy.
Mm-hmm. No, for null actually.
Oh, it was for null. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we did have Roy. I thought it was Roy also said something.
Also, yeah, you're getting new orders just from this tap episode. So
yes.
Oh, another busy day tomorrow then.
Yes.
Azimuth Clark back with another $1 over here on Cash App. Thank you so much, dear brother. And he writes here, I guess it's the beginning of a joke. 2 anti-whites walk into a bar with a salami. And now we're just left hanging to find out what might come after that. Maybe we're the ones who are supposed to come up with the punchline.
I think you did with the just left hanging.
Yeah, exactly. All right. It was both. So yeah, 2 orders, Roy and for null. And over here, everybody get your raucous emojis out of your pockets. You know what time it is. It's time to celebrate the great Mr. Bloom, who has shown up just now with a financial gift of $100.
Thank you.
$100 US. Wow. Thank you so much, dear brother. He writes, Promethean hails, Jason. What a show. Talking about true British community. It's saddening how my generation has never fully experienced what Sam described. However, it is something Richard Wagner and I will strive for in this journey to reclaiming our destiny. Also, Richard and I still have over 2,000 PA leaflets that we need to distribute. I think it may take us a while. And that's fantastic. Both of these guys are absolute magnificent heroes, and very excited about them coming to White Wellbeing. And they have hit the ground running. They're going free, saving Richard Wagner's sister. Richard Wagner's produced several, I guess 2 original piano pieces now, stunning works. Mr. Bloom is here constantly, a great advocate, making it happen for White Wellbeing. So very excited for these guys. And thank you so much, Mr. Bloom. $100 US dollars. I don't know, Sam. Sam, do you have any suggestions on where these leaflets would be best? Because we had some leaflets distributed I guess it was last month, in an area that actually, I don't want to say it was a street name. We won't say the street name. That is common for areas that are not white. And leaflets should never be distributed in a place like that because the odds are that the percentage of people that are going to be receiving them that will be very upset by receiving them is quite high. We want to get our leaflets where it is lawful to do so, and only lawful to do so, but to our brothers and sisters and where they might be. So do you have any suggestions on parts of the country where
I mean,
leaflets could be
you want it to fall on receptive ears. There's no point leafleting your local Caribbean family. They're probably not going to be too bothered about white people being replaced or anything like that. And generally, obviously, we've got a history of elections. You can see where semi-white positive parties have done well in the past. Parties like UKIP, BNP, stuff like that. It's shown where they did well. I know when I ran for councillor with For Britain, which is they're a bit cooked, but I thought I could turn them, but no chance. They were going down a very narrow canal. It's right straight to irrelevancy. And the leader ran in an area that was becoming more and more non-white. And I think she'd done well 10 or so years ago. And she was like, I'm going to run there again. And it's like, and I went to my branch leader and I was like, I've done the run on the numbers. It's like year on year, it's going down and down and down. It's like, it's now only 30-something% white. Of that amount, how many are going to vote for her? It's like, basically, you have no chance of winning and you're only going to make a tit of yourself. And she went on to make a tit of herself, just got completely blown out. And it's like, thinking that just because there's a minority of whites there, I'm going to hit that area isn't the way to success. So it's like, if you think it's like, yeah, but the ones I do get, they're going to be really woke to this kind of thing. It's like, no, you also don't want to hit an entirely white area because a lot of the times they don't see a problem with what's the direction your country might be going in.
That's interesting.
So a lot of it, it can be random as to which communities are woken up to this kind of thing, but it tends to be, they do exist. The ones who voted for parties in the past, it's like if you voted for that party 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you're only going to be more aware of what's going on now. So you've got more and more fertile ground to breed with there. I mean, yeah, people are, areas where demographic change hasn't arrived and everything. It's, you don't want to hit those areas. It's almost like the kind of white flight areas people run off to. It's a very difficult thing to find the exact perfect place to leaflet because you never know. I mean, we hit an area that was really good for leafleting, but there was one person in a mixed relationship who decided to chase us in a car and then got really angry at us that we delivered a leaflet to his house, and it was like, no one around here is going to like this. And it's like, well, actually, we've had a few good remarks from people, and then he scrunched up the leaflet and threw it at my chest, and it just kind of bounced off me. And there was a guy just up the road who was about to step onto a bus, and he goes, "Oi, you littering?" And he goes, like, "What? Have you seen this racist film?" And he goes, like, "Don't care, mate. You littering?" And he comes storming over and he shoves the guy. And it's like, and all of a sudden now, this guy who's been going off at me is nose to nose with this other guy who's just a randomer who's just come along, who just apparently really hates littering. And it's like, they're nose to nose. And it's like, I swear to God. And it's like, and now I'm breaking up the fight between them. And I'm like, just go home. You get on your bus. And everything like that. It's like, this is wild.
Yeah, Sam, you have to get that guy. You have to get that guy for your park cleanup.
Yeah.
yeah, man. Just attacking random people who throw a cigarette butt on the floor or whatever. It's wild. But it's leafleting is interesting. A number of our regional groups have also been, when they leaflet an area, the local Labour councillors. So I guess the equivalent for you would be the Democrats. They'll visit the local Democrat office and pop a leaflet through their front door, just to let them know we've been by and stuff like that. it's always good to antagonize them because they can't help but get angry. And then because I imagine, I think you have a similar thing for the Democrats. It used to be the kind of party of the working class, didn't it? And then it slowly turned into the a kind of enemy of the people. And Labour is very similar here. They had massive losses in the last election. Sadly, they lost it to the Tories, who are definitely not for the working class either. They got landmark votes from the white working class, and they turned around and said, what we really need to work for in the next election is the Muslim vote. That's the one we need to win. It's like, oh, right. So instead of capitalizing on this whole new power that you have, it's like, no, now we need to turn around and just find someone else to direct our energies towards. But yeah, Labour, some people, they just vote it religiously. But,
so we have the same sort of thing here in the States. People end up, there are a lot of good white people who are working class, blue collar folks, and they continue to vote Democrat because they think it's the party. For some reason, they still think it's the party that will benefit them, rather than a party that has become just as anti-white, far more anti-white than even as anti-white as the Republican Party is. But Sam, we're going to keep you talking because we're going to tap out right now, and we're going to have you give your final thoughts and whatever else you would like to share, maybe some addresses where folks can go to see more of you, or Grandma Tyler's tea, and see your lovely wife where she appears. But please, the floor is yours, brother.
grandmatowers.co.uk, patrioticalternative.org.uk. You got to remember the org. I always forget to put it in when I'm sending people the email address. And I'm like .co.uk, and oh no, org.uk. But yeah, we're doing great work there. There's articles going up, new articles every day, multiple times a day. Laura edits them along with another editor, so she reads through them all. And we've got events going on around the country every weekend, and it's not political events inherently. It's people just coming together who want to speak freely, who want to be with their own people, and just have a good time. And it's just nothing but positive energy when you're at these events. And for me, it's like to finish a week and then just go have a great time with friends. It's just fantastic. And every weekend I'm reinvigorated for another week of this struggle. Yeah, it's we're doing more and more. So get involved. I cannot implore people enough to get out there in the real world. It's this fight is becoming harder and harder. Obviously people are losing social media accounts, access to banking and all sorts. It's like, so making these real world connections now while you still can is really important, because we might someday come to rely on them where, you can't just find someone on Twitter. Laura as well, she's on Odyssey now. She's given up YouTube. She's just like, I don't want to play by these rules anymore, so I'm going to go my own way. It's just the way of things now. But it's a good thing as well, because we're doing much better work than we have been for a fair while. We're not going to save this thing entirely through streams. We've got to get in real life, and we're just doing more and more of that. So yeah, join us at Patriotic Alternative. It's honestly, it's been good to express myself freely within a party. When I was running with For Britain, it was kind of like, oh, I can't say this, can't say that, and it's to be with a party, and it's like just like, oh, they're able to talk about the issues honestly. Because that's what needs to happen. Time is running short, basically. So we've got to now take it seriously, and seriously means real life. So get up, get out there, and meet your local white advocates.
Well said, brother. Well said. Well, Mr. George, come on in.
Sam, it was a pleasure speaking to you, and all our blessings to what you and your associates are doing at PA. It's great to hear everything that is going on. I'll be brief. Just my site is thegreatorder.com, catalog of all that I do, all kinds of creative and cultural work. And Jason and I have the afterparty.tv. So please bookmark our sites and subscribe to the mailing list. We don't send out too many, but it's a good way to stay in touch in case all of our social media gets nuked. Who knows what's going to happen? But while it's there, use it. So follow us on social media as well. There's plenty of links to find on our websites to where you can find us. And then, as I said, if you're listening in replay, Sam's links will be in the posts for this particular tap episode. But thank you all, and thank you again, Sam. My love to England. I hope to see it again soon. And Jason, take us out for the evening, my friend.
Amen to
Can I
that.
just
Go ahead.
Jared, when are we getting the album? Because I really like the 2 songs you've put out, and I want more.
Thank you, thank you. Well, it's about a song a month, but I know I'm a little off that schedule now. Strange beginning of the year, but I was actually recording a song before we got on air. So there's no album planned. It's just I'm a rolling release schedule. I tell people.
All right, okay. I thought you were just giving us a taste and then.
No. I appreciate you asking, and I'm glad that you like the songs. Like how Survive the Jive, he puts out like a well-made mini documentary once a month or once every 2 months. That's the release schedule that I'm fixing with the songs, that it's just a rolling thing. It's kind of cool because I get to be working on a song and then shortly thereafter it comes out. So it's very fresh sometimes. But yeah, a lot more coming down the pike with that. But thank you for asking. But yeah, it's more of a one song at a time kind of thing. It just makes more sense for how the internet works and how I'm positioned. So I'm not saying there won't be albums in the future, but for the time being, that's the release schedule.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Far Away is really good. I really like that song.
Thank you.
Yeah, I imagine we're going to hear a lot more great music from the one and only Mr. George. Well, folks, we've had a magnificent tap today. We got to tap out. Everything that is good must come to an end so that it can start all over again. However, we have more good coming this coming Saturday. This is going to be a Promethean weekend. As you can see, my Prometheus poster is back up on the wall. Fire and Cosmic Clay by Groundhog Fury, who was here. He might still be here. And of course, he did the cover for Prometheus Rising. The reason why this is a Prometheus Rising weekend coming up is because Imminent Rain, the one and only master musician, has finished song number 6, Akalobain Idolin, War of the Heavens. With this album, he is got 9 songs total. This is song number 6. He is telling the story of Prometheus Rising. It is very exciting. It is magnificent music. And then to make it even more enticing, folks, to make it more amazing, and I kid you not, I actually had my eyes moistened, tears come to my eyes when I was watching this, because it was such a beautiful thing for these masters in their particular areas to be able to come together. Groundhog Fury did the visuals for this nearly 8-minute long song that is epic as all get out. The visuals are epic as all get out. And we are going to be premiering it over on Imminent Rain's channel, YouTube channel. You can look for him as Imminent Rain on YouTube. And that will be on Saturday. I will be sharing, as soon as he has the premiere up, I will be sharing it on all of my social media so that you all can show up there and participate in that premiere, and you'll be able to see it there for the very first time. Truly professional work, the kind of stuff that you can see. The Imminent Rain's music is professional level. You would hear that on the radio if the radio and all of the stations weren't owned by Antiwhite. Groundhog Fury, same way with his digital art. Absolutely professional. You are really going to get excited and want to be a part of this. Sunday, we'll be back and we will play Imminent Rain's piece again on Sunday on the Going Free stream. And we will have Imminent Rain himself on for 30 or so more minutes. And we're going to be discussing that song, the album, the songs that came before. We're very excited about that. And I think we'll have a written statement from the great Groundhog Fury. One knows that he can't appear on a stream or anything because he lives on top of a mountain in the highest place of planet Earth. So sometimes hard to get a hold of him, but I will have a message to read to you all. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, folks. It's another big step in creating something that will serve as a magnet for our brothers and sisters, this didactic narrative of Prometheus Rising, Take Back Your Destiny, being made infinitely more creative and magnetic, to go back to that word, by people like Groundhog Fury, Imminent Rain, Richard Wagner, who has created a piano piece for it, like Comedies, who has created 2 piano pieces, original piano pieces for it. Very excited about these things. and looking forward to seeing you all there on Saturday and on Sunday. But we are very thankful for our moderators who were here with us today. I know we had Roy and Grayman the Gray. Did we have anybody else who was with us? A big thank you to all of our moderators for all of their service. A great big thank you to everyone who financially gifted over the course of the stream, everybody who commented and took part in the conversation, asked questions, made suggestions. Thank you all. Thank you all who reached out. We know Fernell and Roy both bought some Grandma Tyler's tea. That is splendid. And thank you all for doing that over the course of this tap. It is always wonderful to be with you all. You are the best in your families. You're the best in your communities. You're the best in your regions. You're the best in your states and your countries. God bless every single one of you. And we look forward to seeing you all again